Today, you are going to learn a 7-day English study plan that will completely transform your English and finally help you speak fluently. Are you ready? Well then, let's jump right in. So here's the setup that you must understand. For this 7-day English study plan, the entire plan is built around one single topic that you will choose. This is the key. When you're studying, you want to make sure you study based on things that interest you. So you're going to start off first by picking a topic you're actually interested in. Now, every day of the 7-day English study plan will apply a different skill to that same topic. And I have an example topic for us to go through in this lesson. But as you continue, remember that each day applies a different skill to that same topic. So, one topic will equal depth instead of scatter. You'll know a lot about a topic and be able to speak fluently about that topic, and you will actually activate what you learn. You'll put into practice what you are learning. For example, you can have topics like travel, your job, food, friendship, a recent experience. It is totally up to you. So the first step is you need to select a topic. Now, for our lesson today, I have selected the topic of relationships because whether you're a man or a woman, whether you're in America or in another country, the topic of relationships is a universal topic. So we've started off with our topic, and now it's time to enter day 1 of our 7-day English study plan with the topic of relationships in mind. Sunday, day 1 of our 7-day English study plan is all about vocabulary. And as we're going through this plan, I want you to pause this lesson whenever you need to take notes. So Sunday is our first day of our plan. And here's the breakdown of Sunday. You're going to pick, 3 terms connected to your topic. Remember, we've selected relationships for our topic. So pick 3 terms connected to your topic. Now, for each term, you want to complete 3 things. This is very key. First, when and how it's used. In other words, the meaning in real use. You have these terms, but how are the terms actually used in real life? Then you want to look at 3 situations that show the term in context. You see, during my time as an English teacher, one thing I've noticed, amongst other things, is that English learners, and maybe just like you, struggle. They memorize a term, they memorize an expression, but when the time comes to use it, they have a difficult time using it because they've never heard it in a real life situation. They don't understand how to use it in real life, even though they understand the meaning. That is why for day 1, Sunday vocabulary, you want to make sure you have 3 situations that you understand that show the term in context. Then you'll get the definition, what the word means. You'll see what this looks like as we go through an example. The goal. What is the goal? You see, the goal is don't just know the word, know where it lives. How does this word get used in real life? So let's check out some examples. Again, our topic is relationships. Our first term is inseparable. Inseparable. Now, this is a very good word, inseparable, but we must look at first some situations, which is also connected to when and how it's used. Growing up, we were inseparable. Same school, same street, same everything. What are we noticing? Again, growing up, we were inseparable. Same school, everything. What about example 2? They've only been dating 2 months and they're already inseparable. I want you to start guessing, what does this word inseparable mean? And here's the third example. My sister and I are inseparable now, but we couldn't stand each other as kids. So we have a situation with childhood friends being inseparable, a situation with a new couple being inseparable, and siblings being inseparable now, but not in the past. So what does this word inseparable actually mean? It simply means so close that two people are almost always together. So close that two people are almost always together. In English, we say inseparable. You see what happened, right? We looked at 3 different situations and you were able to guess what the definition of this term actually was going to be. What about this second term? Our second term is estranged. Here's the first situation, a family member. He's been estranged from his father for almost 10 years. He's been estranged from his father for almost 10 years. Remember, we're talking about relationships. We're still on day 1 of our 7-day plan, and we're looking at a vocabulary word and trying to guess the definition. What about this situation? A quiet family. We don't really talk about my aunt. She's estranged from the rest of the family. And finally, situation C, the third one, a cautious reunion. After being estranged for so long, that first phone call was terrifying. So we see these 3 different examples using the word estranged. What does it actually mean? Well, the word estranged just means no longer close to someone you used to be close to, usually after conflict. We used to be close. We used to be around each other a lot, but now we're estranged. No longer close to someone you used to be close to. In English, we say estranged. Makes sense, right? Again, day 1, Sunday vocabulary, picking 3 terms. Here is our third term, again for Sunday, day 1. Supportive. Here's the first situation. I want you to try to guess the definition. Describing a partner. She's incredibly supportive. She believed in me before I believed in myself. Next, talking about friends. My friends were so supportive after the breakup, they never let me feel alone. And example 3, appreciating family. My parents weren't rich, but they were always supportive of whatever I wanted to try. So again, we have this word supportive. We've seen these 3 different situations. So what does this word actually mean? It means giving encouragement, comfort, and help to someone. So again, when you think about the examples, describing a partner. She was supportive, encouraging, describing a friend. Supportive, encouraging, comforting, and helping. And my parents, supportive, helping, encouraging. This is our third term, supportive. Make sense? Excellent. So again, day 1 is all about finding the vocabulary. This leads us to day number 2, which is Monday. Monday is all about expressions. Don't forget, our topic that we chose, again, was relationships. So Monday is all about expressions, but let's get the breakdown. Remember, take notes as you're going along. So on Mondays, you're going to pick 3 expressions connected to your topic. After you pick the expressions, for each expression, you want to complete 2 specific things. First, you want the definition, what the expression actually means. So you're going to follow a different pattern from Sunday. Then, this is key. You need the cultural context, the background, or the origin, where it came from and why people started using it. When it comes to understanding English expressions and using them properly, this is one of the keys, the cultural context. So what's the goal? The goal is for the expressions to stick when you understand them. When you understand the story behind them, they will stick in your mind. Watch what's going to happen. I'm going to give you some examples, all right? Let's look at our first expression, all right? The first expression is tie the knot. Tie the knot. Now remember, this is going to be your first expression for Monday. We need to look at the definition and also the cultural context. So we're talking about relationships. Cultural context. This comes from an old tradition where a couple's hands were literally bound together with cord or ribbon during the wedding ceremony, a knot symbolizing a permanent bond. Americans use it casually today. So when are you two finally tying the knot? Again, tie the knot. It just means to get married, but now you understand the cultural context. They were literally tied together. So again, tie the knot was our first example. What about our second expression? On the rocks. On the rocks. Now, I want you to picture a ship that is run aground on rocks, damaged and in danger. The same image gives us on the rocks for a drink served over ice. When we're speaking about for relationships though, on the rocks means I think their marriage is on the rocks. They've been in counseling for months. I think their marriage is on the rocks. Something is wrong. The definition is a relationship that is struggling and may be about to end. A relationship that is struggling and may be about to end. In English, we say on the rocks. You see how understanding the context, understanding the cultural background will help you remember this, right? On the rocks. Then we have our third term. Again, we're on the second day of our 7-day plan. Pop the question. Pop the question. Now, here's the cultural context. I want to give you this first. The question is, will you marry me? It's so central in American culture that people don't even need to say it. Pop suggests it's sudden and exciting. He's been carrying the ring for a week. He just needs to pop the question. He just needs to pop the question. So what does this actually mean? It just means to propose marriage. Pop the question just means to propose marriage. So, day 2 of our 7-day English study plan. Monday, expressions. Find 3 expressions. Understand the cultural background, the context, the origin. And this leads us now to day number 3. Day number 3 is our Tuesday lesson. Descriptive language. Now, what does this mean? Descriptive language. So on day 3, which will be Tuesday, this is what you need to focus on. So for each term, you're going to find descriptive language terms, terms that describe something visually, right? You need to find out what the term actually means, right? Then you need to identify the one shared situation that all 3 terms describe. This is key. You need to find one shared situation that all 3 descriptive language terms describe. This is where it's going to click for you. For example, here's the situation. A happy person, right? That's the situation. So you need to have the 3 descriptive language terms that describe a happy person. For example, elated, on cloud 9, on top of the world. These 3 each describe a happy person. So what's the goal on day 3, our Tuesday lesson? To build range, multiple ways to express one feeling or moment. I love this day. Again, day 3, Tuesday being the descriptive language day. Because in English, as a native English speaker, right? I'm American. I've been taught how to do this my entire life. How do you feel? Happy. Keep going. I feel over the moon. I had a great day and I can describe my emotion, my feeling very easily. All right. So check out this first example. Here we go. Here's the shared situation. Being deeply and completely in love with someone. Deeply and completely in love with someone. Now we need 3 descriptive language terms to describe this. First, head over heels. It means completely in love, often quickly and intensely. We say head over heels. This would be our first descriptive language term. Here's another one. Smitten. Smitten. Now this means suddenly and strongly attracted to someone or charmed by them. In English, we say smitten. And term number 3, crazy about someone. This means you're loving someone so much it feels overwhelming. overwhelming. Again, the situation being deeply or completely in love with someone. So Tuesday is all about thinking of one situation and figuring out 3 different ways to describe the feeling, the emotion, or the situation itself. This moves us to day number 4, Wednesday. Wednesday is all about the 5 W's. You know them: who, what, when, where, and why. We're on Wednesday, day 4 of our 7-day English study plan. So here's a simple breakdown for Wednesday. You're going to take one situation from your topic. Again, our topic for this week, we've chosen relationships, right? Take one situation. You're going to describe it using all 5 elements. The goal, again, is to describe the situation using all 5 elements: who, what, when, where, and why. You're going to organize the 5 elements into one clear description. Listen, this 7-day English study plan that we are breaking down right now is going to help you speak English fluently about one topic, going deep, which will help you so much. Here's the goal. You want to turn scattered details into a complete, speakable picture. Tell me a story. Help me understand. So again, we're organizing the 5 elements. So let's see what this would look like. Here we go. Here's an example, okay? So 5 W's for relationships. My best friend's surprise birthday dinner. All right, we're starting off now with the who. My best friend Maya and 8 of our close friends. What? A surprise birthday dinner we secretly planned. When? Last Saturday evening, right after she thought everyone had forgotten. Where? Her favorite Italian restaurant downtown. And why? Because she's been there for all of us this year, and we wanted to show her she's not alone. So let's pause really quickly. We've organized the information, right, about this one situation. But now let's get the one description that combines each piece of information. Here we go. Last Saturday, my best friend Maya and 8 of us threw a surprise birthday dinner at her favorite Italian place downtown. Because after everything she's done for us this year, we wanted her to feel how much she's loved. This is the focus for day number 4, Wednesday, the 5 W's. Picking a situation and training your brain how to think in English using the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. Which leads us now to day number 5, Thursday. Thursday is our story day. So let's break down the story day. This is what you're going to do. You're going to first understand the elements of a story. We have setting, character, climax, and the lesson learned. You're going to answer each element, then write one longer story connected to your own life and the topic. That's the key. It's the story of your life and the topic. Here's the goal. You see, stories are how real speakers hold attention. Practice building a story and you'll be able to hold people's attention. So what does this look like? Here we go. Let's look at an actual example. All right. So the story is for relationships. All right. So here's the setting. My grandmother's kitchen on a Sunday afternoon. The characters, me and my grandmother, who rarely talked about her past. The climax, while we were cooking, she suddenly told me how she met my grandfather, a story I'd never heard in 25 years. What's the lesson learned? The people closest to us carry whole worlds we never ask about. All right, so we have the information organized, the elements of a story. Now let's listen to the longer story that includes these elements. Here we go. Every Sunday I cooked with my grandmother, mostly in silence. One afternoon, stirring a pot of sauce, she said quietly, "You know, I almost didn't marry your grandfather." I froze. In 25 years, she'd never mentioned it. She told me how they'd argued, separated for a year, and how a single letter brought them back together. I realized I had spent my whole life with this woman and barely knew her. That day, I stopped just cooking with her. I started asking. Some of the most important relationships in our lives are full of stories we never think to ask for. You see what happened, right? We took the elements of the story and turned them into a longer story. On Thursdays, this is what you are going to do. Day 5, this is your practice day. Day 6, All right, now let's move on. Yep, that was day 5. Got it right. Let's move on to our next day. Day 6 again. Day 6, still following the topic of relationships. Day 6 is Friday, and we're going to focus on fluency tips. What does this look like? Here's the breakdown. You're going to find 3 fluency tips. You're going to apply all 3. Keep them simple. They don't have to be difficult. They just have to be used. The goal for this day, day number 6, is small, repeatable habits that move you from knowing to finally speaking. Remember, this 7-day English study plan is only effective if you put into practice everything that needs to be done each day. So let's look at an example. All right, again, we're talking about relationships. This is the topic, right? So let's look at fluency tips for relationships. You will find fluency tips based on the topic that you select for your week. So here's tip number 1. Talk about real people. Describe an actual relationship out loud, a friend, a partner, for 60 seconds with no stopping. Apply it. Talk about how you met your best friend. Think about it. Number 2, use this week's words on purpose. Force yourself to use inseparable, estranged, and head over heels in real sentences. Here's how you apply it. Send a voice message to a friend using one of them. That's right. Get your cell phone, record a message, and send it to your best friend. Send it to a close friend. Make sure you use one of the terms you learned. And tip number 3, for our example, record and re-listen. Record yourself telling Thursday's story about your grandmother. Then play it back. Here's how you apply it. Notice one thing that sounded natural and one thing you'd smooth out. You are editing yourself. This is day 6 of our 7-day English study plan. And day 7 is very important. Day 7 on Saturday, you are just going to relax. You've pushed and pushed for 6 days, putting information in relating to the topic, and now on day 7, on Saturday, just relax. Let the information marinate. Let it sit inside your brain. You are retaining the information each time you review it. This time, just relax. This is a powerful 7-day English study plan. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I hope it helps you as you move forward. You can continue studying on your own following this plan, but if you want to follow me and I'll give you lessons every day, hit the link in the description or go to www.studyOrSpeak.com/365system. One more time, www.speakenglishwiththiffany.com/365system. And I'll talk to you in the next lesson.